Hey everyone, good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you happen to be. It's a Monday, happy Monday. And today it's going to be all about beyond the bob, meaning there's so many things out there in terms of what you see in a bob. And I think a bob is probably one of the most classical shapes. It's not going on anywhere. It's always going to be around. It's amazing in terms of where it started and where it's at, and you're seeing all kinds of things, whether it's a one length bob, shattered, scattered, layered, graduated, disconnected. I mean, a bob's a classic. What can we say? So what I want to do is I want to start out with talking about graduation and share with you a couple of different ways that you can create that graduation. So I'm going to go a classical route first. Okay. Now, any questions or anything you have, make sure you write it in the chat box. I want you also to text some friends and tell them, come on, get on Facebook, come to Sam Via YouTube's Sam Via Hair, Sam Via Hair Pro Facebook, and watch the class. So share this with some friends, guys. And you're from everywhere. So good to see you. Good morning, Sonia. How are you? Rosie, nice to see you. Is there a bob for curly hair? Sure, Rosie, there's a bob. One of the best ways, I'm going to disconnect the bob also, show you that. And one of the ways to work with a curly hair is disconnect it to take some weight, but you got to be careful where you do that. God, I mean, Greece, I saw Greece was on, Iraq is on. Nuno, how are you, my friend Nuno from Portugal? Hope you are doing well. Love to all my friends on the team in Portugal. Myrtle Beach, Kelsey, you're here. Rick is here. All right, so let's get started. So here's what I've done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work diagonally and down in the back. So you can see my diagonal forward section in the back. And what I've done is I placed my comb right at the base of wherever their hairline is. Place your comb there. Hold it at the base. Don't hold the comb up here. Hold it down here. Then slide your finger in where it's at. That usually tells you where the head is changing direction, where it starts to change direction. That's the top of that section. Then I'm going to just take that diagonally down to the ear. Now, a couple things that's important here is this tool will get you in trouble with a graduated bob when you're working on the right side and when you're working on the left side. So we have to be very careful in regards to how you're working with that. The shear that I'm working with, I'm not going to work with a long shear. I'm going to work with a shorter shear, guys. So I'm going to work with something like a 625, a 6.6. I might work with a 5.75, but I find if I work with a 7-inch when I'm working these shorter, nice precision shapes, I like a shorter shear. So here's where we're going to start. We're going to start in this back area, and I'm just going to divide left to right in the back. Okay. Now remember, the focus here on this exercise is I want to just focus on graduation. All right. Now I'm going to work with the fine teeth of the comb, and then I'm also going to work with a white comb so that you can see the difference in terms of the contrast of her color of her hair. Now this is cut into an undercut is underneath. Okay. It's a mannequin I've had pre-cut, and then it's all one length. So it has not been graduated or layered at all. So now she came back. Let's set up a scenario. She came back. She says, I like my one length hair, Sam, but now I want to have some layers. I want to start with like one of those, like a Victoria Beckham bob, something that's graduated. Great way to start. All right. So I'm going to go diagonal forward. Now watch how I'm going to lift this section. I'm going to take the fine teeth of the comb. Look how that diagonal, it matches that section. So if you take a look at a 3/4 view of this, you'll see that that's the section I took. Look how the comb matches that section. Now watch me place my middle finger right behind that, comb to that, and then bring and collapse my index finger on top. Now I have the section that I want to cut, but watch what I'm going to do. Okay. And I'm going to give you a little bit more of a back view of this 3/4. Watch how I'll take the comb it on this side. That cleans that section. And now I know I want to over direct to the center. So now my last combing angle is on top, and the point, the top of that comb, because it's at a diagonal forward, when the top hits that top section, that's where I'm going to cut. Then I'm going to take the underneath that I have as the length. That's my guide. Now watch when I release this, look how this line's going to fall, how it's going to fall with some roundness to it. Okay. So that's section number 1. Now watch section number 2. I'm going to take 3 sections on the right and 3 on the left. Okay. Diagonal forward, white teeth of the comb. Now watch me look at the comb, the angle of that section. Now watch me just slide my hand behind, and I've picked up some of what I just cut and what I'm going to cut. Now watch the comb. Comb comes from underneath. It floats to the top of that section where it started. I fold the hair. I see my guide, slide to the guide, and cut. So here's what I'm trying to share with you is I want you to be aware of how deliberate, how I'm combing with intent and purpose on this. Because if I get to become a one-sided comber, you're going to tend to over-direct this side more so, or you're going to over-direct this side, but you're going to over-direct this side a lot more. So this side, the left side, is going to be longer. Now I'm going to ask you guys a lot of times, if you're right-handed, you're going to find you cut the right side shorter and the left side is always longer. Put T in the chat box if that's true. Put T in the chat box. Now my last section. Look how that comb matches that last section, that main section angle. Now watch me slide my middle finger behind. Now watch me just pick up. Now watch me clean up from underneath what I picked up. See, I clean that up. Now watch me set up my over direction. Now watch me over direct and set that comb up to the point of where that last section started, the top of that section. Now look how I'm going to cut. Now I love cutting on the inside of my hand when I'm cutting precision because I have a lot more control of that. Now watch how I've altered this silhouette. You can just start to see the graduation in that. Okay, let's go to this side now. Watch on this side. This side, I'm going to release this. Watch how this here is primarily one length. See the difference? Okay. I need you to see the difference on that. You can just start to see how that's graduated. You can see the graduation line in that. Okay. Now when I turn her here with one length, look how flat that is. Okay. So now let's talk about this on the left side now. Now I'm on her left side. Okay. So now when I'm on the left side, I'm going to stand on this opposite side so you have a good view of it. And it's also going to be a lot more comfortable for my body position. Okay, I'm going to give you a 3/4 view again. Okay, if we're doing good, type the letter G in there if you're good so far. All right.
I'm doing good. And Sammy, I'm back.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back, buddy. I can't do this without you. What shear am I working with, Andrew? I'm working with my Streamline. Okay, so I'm working with my Streamline. This is my 625. Remember I said, now Streamline, a lot more narrow in terms of palm. So if you have a small hand, you say, the Artist Series, Sam, the Signature Series is too fat for my hand, the handle. Okay, something a little more narrow. Plus, I love this, Andrew, for point cutting more than my 7-inch dry. You know, I love this one, the Streamline, for point cutting. All right, here we go. Opposite side. Now, opposite side, 3 sections, 3 diagonal sections moving forward. Stay in control. Okay. Now watch again, very detailed here. We're going to get into a little bit of creative action here in a moment with these bobs. Okay, but let's talk about graduation here. Diagonal forward. So I go diagonal forward. Okay, now watch how I'll come through. Look at the angle of the comb, matches that section. Look at where the section started, right up here. That's where it starts. Now watch my comb. Look at my hand go behind. Now watch my comb, the spine of the comb here combs up to that point. There it is. Now I fold. There's my guide. You can see my guide right there. Okay. Very, very interesting how this works. Watch. I'm going to do this again. All right. It's important to me that you see this, AC. So we're going to go diagonal. That's the section. Hands behind. My middle finger's behind. Now watch me take the spine of this comb, bring it up to that point. There it is. Now watch me fold. There's my guide. Now I want you to see that's my guide. Oops. Go this way. That's my guide. Okay, you can see that's my guide. So now that I have my guide, I'm in a perfect spot. So what I want you to notice here, my last combing angle is from underneath. See, that ensures that I get my guide to the proper position, my elevation in proper position. Watch. If I just comb on this side, I'm over combing. Now look at where my point of my fingers are at, way over here to the center. So what I've simply done is over-directed too much. Now this side's going to get longer. Look where that section is. Watch me come through. So Sam, are you over-directing a little bit? Yes, I'm going to give you the simple language. I'm over-directing to the previous section. That's what I'm doing, is over-directing to that previous section. Okay. When I work, guys, I love working with my Redken One United. This is one of my favorite products to work with. I just love working with this. When I'm cutting dry, it gives me a little more compact, a little bit more control. And when I'm cutting wet, it helps to maintain a little bit more moisture. Section number 3. Look at my hand go behind that immediately. Look at me pick up. See, I comb. See, I'm not a one-sided comber. I'm aware where the spine. What's the spine, Sam? It's this part. See, this sets me up to where I want to be, where I want to comb. So I'm always looking to see where that's at. Now, if I end up combing there, I've over-directed this hair to there. See, if I end up with the comb there, then I've over-directed it to there. So what I'm trying to share with you is be aware where that spine of the comb, where it's at. My last section, watch me elevate. Now, I should have a guide at the top and one at the bottom and a soft line. Good, I got it there. Look at me float, and now I cut. What I want you to get to is I'm not over-combing this. Andrew, I think a lot of times I used to comb, guys, but I don't over-comb so much anymore. Okay, now let's take a look at that. Look at the silhouette of that. And you just start to see, I'm going to move over here. There we go. You just start to see that graduation in terms of how that works. See how that works? That's my graduation there.
Beautiful.
Cool, AC, any questions, buddy?
Yeah, Sonia was asking, and I think this is really a good question because different clients have different head shapes. Any tips or any adjustments to this if you have someone that kind of has a flat head shape, especially through that occipital area?
Well, here's where I'd be more concerned. Sonia, great question. Sonia, take a look at this. Watch me move this. Okay, watch this, Sonia. Look at. Here's where you need to be aware of. What's this little feature right here doing? What's that nose doing? See, so what I want to be aware of, how much does this extend? Because if I put weight right here, then you just extended that. So I would examine profile first. What's so cool about a graduated bob is it's great choice for someone that wants volume. Why? Because opposites attract. If I go in and I sink this area in, that automatically, let me get myself out of the way, that automatically looks full. Okay? But if I go in and make this full, now that makes that look more, not as high as volume, makes it look more shallow. Does that make sense, guys? Type the letter S if that makes sense. Okay? Okay? Type the letter S if that makes sense. So you got to be aware, opposites attract. So sink this in, gives the illusion more volume. You bring this more volume, you're sinking the crown in. So a graduated bob, look what it does. It automatically sinks this in, so that's giving the illusion. And you're going to see, Sonia, now watch what I'm going to do here. See, once I'm here, guys, I have this. Now it's all a matter of, this is simple now, diagonal forward. Now it's a matter of bringing everything over directing back to this graduated line. You see, that's what's going to give me, here we go here, there's my guide. Look how I fold up, but I can immediately see my guide. I immediately see that guide right underneath there, guys. Okay, let's get the comb out of the way. Well, I got to use the comb to fold it. Okay, but look see, you can see that little guide. See that guide in there, guys? You can see it. Okay, so now every section that I take is going to come to this guide. So now let's talk about the grain of my over direction now. Okay, so look at the grain of the hair. Look at that. See how it all matches? So I'm not going to comb it once up here. Look at the grain now. It's horizontal. And then the next time I sweep the comb it down here, now it's diagonal down. So what I want you to be aware of, what I'm trying to share with you here is, once again, the comb is going to create issues if you're not careful in terms of examine the hair and where it's going. Now watch. See, I just take the comb, I sweep, okay? And I know exactly where I'm at. That spine of the comb is right with her ear right there. There's my guide, see it? And I cut. So Sam, are you over directing everything to a stationary guide now? Yes, I am, guys. I'm doing that. Now watch what happens. As I do this, now Sonia, I'm starting to get a little bit more volume up here. And you're starting to see that. See it? Okay. So now graduation. Graduation is defined as anything that's cut at or below a horizontal line. So if this is cut down here, one length, I elevate, that's slow graduation, right there. Once I go above a horizontal line and I take the section above it, now I'm layering it. So you've got to be careful and understand now. Graduated shapes, a lot of times we refer, takes a little bit more precision. You've got to be a little bit more aware. You have to really have a great, clean, intent, purposeful mindset when you're going and doing that. Look at where I'm at. See that? See? Now watch how I can stay here, take my section. This helps too. Because the issue here is elevate, elevate, elevate. You move it up one, you move it down, you move it up, you move it down. Now you're wondering why you're steppy. Look how my hand just stayed there. See, now I reposition. So if you're getting steppy in your haircuts, keep your hand there and just follow. Look at the white comb. Look at the white comb. Look how it just extends to the line. See that? Now that extends. That lets me know I'm cutting that clean, extending line working its way down. Every diagonal section I take comes back to that stationary guide. I stay there. If it reaches, I take it. If it doesn't reach, I don't go looking for hair to cut, guys. Because she could have some layers, existing layers in it, and it could be growing out. Now watch this. Let's take a look at this, okay? And I'm going to give you a profile view of that, okay? Look at, see the graduation on that? See how I got the graduation? That's what I'm looking for in that. I want that graduation. Boom. Now you can come in, tweak it, do whatever you want. So that's a graduated bob. Did you learn something there in that graduation? Okay.
Any tips for working around the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please, AC, go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you have any tips for working around the ear.
Well, good question. If I'm over the ear, one of the primary concerns I have is when I'm cutting this one length. Okay. When I'm cutting it one length. Now, I love, some people will go in, they'll tap their comb over the ear to loosen up over the ear. Otherwise, you'll get this over the ear. So now I want you to be a little bit more aware of the ear, on one length. Graduated bobs, because I'm elevating that, once you're done here, now maybe I could come in and clean up that line right there that I see. See if you can see it. See it? Right here. Okay. So now here, I would be a little bit concerned about it. Maybe I think there's a corner there. There it is. There's a corner. Okay. I want you to see this corner. See the corner? So now that corner right there, I'm going to release that. Graduated bobs over the ear, you're fine. It's more one length when I'm over the ear that I have to be aware of my tension. So tension is what you need to be aware of the ear. In terms of hand position also on a bob, meaning watch. This is so cool. This is good learning here, guys. When I cut a bob, I don't square my hand to the head like this. Okay. I divide that front to back. And then what I do is I look at the shape of the head. And if that's what the shape of the head there, then that right there, watch this, guys. Okay, don't go anywhere. Watch this. Okay, that's the shape of the head. So this is the position my hand needs to be in. Does that make sense? You see? Now watch this. Watch this. Watch this, Sonia. Okay, now look at the shape of the head here. Okay, see the shape of the head here? It comes off there. So now that's what I cut to that. Now, Sonia, what I want you to notice here, because I did not place my hand square on what we think is a box, I placed it in relation to where the head turns. So what I built was a corner over the ear that gave me the excess length that I need. And that was simply solved by the position of my hand. Does that make sense, Sonia? Okay. Everybody, you got to get that. What's so important here is the head shape. Sometimes we just pick up the hair and we start cutting and we forget about the head shape. And I think that's important. All right, graduated bob, you go away. Now, let's go through now and let's layer this. So let's say you got a client that comes in and she says, I want my bob layered. So where do you start layering this? She says, I want to keep the bob. I want to keep it, but I want to layer this out now. I want some movement. I want some softness. I don't want any more one length. So how do you layer it? Okay, so let's talk about that. Remember what we said. Layering is when we take the hair and we elevate it anywhere above the horizontal line, anywhere on the head, we're starting to layer that hair. Okay, so now let's go through. Okay, and watch how I'm going to take a vertical section. Now where the comb comes off, you see where it comes off? That's a vertical transition to a horizontal transition in regards to how the head is turning. So now that is going to be my point of reference in terms of where I'm going to start to layer this. Is this making sense? Watch this now, okay? So let's go with the middle part, and then I'm going to come back and I want to show you how important head is in relation to a fringe too, okay? Now watch. I want to layer this, okay? So let's start just behind the ear and work our way around, okay? And I'll come back and visit the front in a moment, okay? So now what I just explained to you was take the comb where it comes off. So it comes off right there. Okay. So now what that's telling me is, I'll give you a view like this. Look at this. What that's telling me is if I place my finger here, that's exactly where the head is changing direction. So I'm going to use this as my guide to layer. That's where the layering starts. Why? Because it guarantees that I'm going to maintain the weight. Is this making sense, guys? You see that? So now if I understand that, I don't need to take this horizontal section across to determine the guide. Watch what Sam's going to do. Now I'm going to take a 7-inch dry cutting shear. Okay. Okay. I'm going to use my 7. Now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a vertical section. Okay. And I'm going to place my comb right on that head. So now look at where it comes off. Do you see where it came off? Right here. So now that's going to be the starting point of my layering. So now I'm going to come through and I'm going to layer this. And then I'm going to cut to the shape of the head. Look at my comb. See how that's the shape of the head? So that is the angle I'm going to cut. Now watch. When I cut this, now this should give me a corner right there. See the corner? You can see that corner there. That gives me the corner. This corner here is my weight. That corner up there where it turns is my layering. Okay. Now look how I've been able to, look at this section. Look at right here. Look how I've been able to layer that, but I've maintained my bob. So now this area right here already has some kickiness to it. Okay. Let's go again. Okay. Is this working? Are you learning here, guys? Just type the word L. L. Rosie, when senior citizens hair, it's a beautiful cut. You're finding you're having difficulty with senior citizens hair. You're layering it too much. Keep the elevation down lower, even lower than what I kept it. Because what you need to do, Rosie, is you got to build weight in that fine hair. It's starting to happen to me. Am I a senior citizen? I'm not going to answer that question yet. But my hair, I'm finding I need more hair. If I layer it too much, Andrew, it's becoming too transparent and you can see through it. So you just got to remember, sometimes you need more light. Did you like that, Andrew? Okay, here we go. Again, watch. Now you can I pick it up, see, but watch. I'm going to give you this, guys. This is so cool because if you understand the shape of the head, you can do anything. Look at it. See, there's where the comb comes off. You can see where it comes off right here. So this point right there, that's my layering. That's where my layering starts. You see that? So you see I've determined that. Now, the angle we determined is the shape of the head. Let me show you that. That's the shape of the head. See the comb? That's the shape of the head. Okay. See, that's going to be the shape I'm going to cut. Now, direction. Let's take a look at this. This is where you're really going to find the spine of the comb, guys. Watch. See, I'm going to take this and I'm going to layer. I'm layering this hair section over here. I already cut this section. So I'm going to comb the spine right over that section. So I'm cutting this hair right where it lives. Does that make sense? Did you see that? Let me give you a back view of this so you can get it. Okay, a little 3/4 right there. Okay, watch. Here's where I'm combing. See when the spine comes over that line, that section? Boom, that's when I come straight up. Watch. If I'm a one-sided comber and I'm not aware of that, let's take a look at where my hand's at. It's way past that, where it needs to be. So you have to understand, I've been talking about this, and there's a little press release that we just did, Andrew, that talks about how the tool that really gets you in trouble as I drop it is the comb. It gets you in trouble. How are we doing, AC? Any questions on this? I hope this is helping them out. I want to keep it basic. After this one, I'm going to go into disconnection.
It's all good, dude. You're just delivering all the hits, so keep rocking.
Awesome. All right, so now let's take a look at this side, AC. Take a look at that side, okay? And now look at, see the softness I have in that? See how I'm getting a little frothiness out of that? But look at the heaviness over here. So you can just feel the floppiness of that. So here's what I'm trying to share with you on this. This would be something like, let's set up a scenario. Client comes in for a color. She comes in for a color. There's my comb, always aware where my comb is, pinching right where that head changes. I pinched right where that head changes directions, and I cut. Okay. Now, a client comes in, and let's say she comes in with her one length bob, and she says to me, Sam, I've been thinking about layering, but she's only scheduled for a highlight. Only scheduled for a highlight. So you go in, you highlight, you dry it. This is where I would add in the express service of let's just dust the layers in. What do you mean, Sam? Well, I have a dusting express service for a haircut. And since you want to layer it, it's just a matter of just layering this top circle. It's going to take me half the time and it's half the price. So you see how I took care of her in terms of that, but she was only booked for a highlight. See, I think that's where the world is going to change. Start figuring out what is not on your software. Let me say it again. What appointments are not on your software? That's the express services you want to create, guys. Those are the express services you want to create. Okay, now I'm at the ear. Now, what do you think is going to happen when I move to that front side area? What happens when we layer that front side area? Does anybody know? Can anybody tell me? Write it in there. Something happens. It gets very what? Gets very what? Look at that. Oh, on fire today, AC. Look at that. Okay, now watch. We've moved into the front sides, and look how floppy they are. But something happens here with the hairline. Okay, Manda Ziegelman, my girl Manda, we love you, Manda. Okay, you guys are not following Manda Ziegelman. Let's make sure AC somehow, Katie, Dana, we can get her handle in there. Our Redken artist, Manda Ziegelman, and Sam V Ambassador, Manda Ziegelman. Thanks for being on, Manda. Okay, yeah, it gets thin, Michelle. Absolutely right. Anne Marie, Terry, it gets too thin. So here's a helpful hint. Anytime you see an area where it gets too thin, I want you to pull away from that area. So now what I'm going to do, even though I'm dropping out that, this is a layered haircut, and it's not disconnected. It blends. Okay. So watch. Here's where I left off in that front side. I'm using my comb. Watch my comb. I'm going to give it to you for a back view here. Okay. Now watch my comb lay here. Look where it comes off. Now watch me pinch right where it came off. Boom, right there. See that? That's where I pinched. Now that's my guide. But now what I'm doing is I'm over directing back. So my last combing angle is in the back or the front. Come on, type it down. F or B. Come on, type it. What is it? See here? Watch what I'm going to do. Look at me over directing back. Now, where are you over directing back to, Sam? To the ear, to the top of the ear, where that front to back changes direction. Okay. All right. Yeah, we answered that one. Good. Short. Yeah, it can get short or it can get too thin. So that's why it's important that I over direct back, guys. That's the motion I'm using now. Take a look at this side now. All of that has been layered out. Now take a look at her bob, and now take a look at this side. See how floppy that is still floppy? So just a cool way to layer a bob is just be aware of the head shape. That's all you have to do. Okay? Questions? All right. So now what's the next thing we're going to go, Sam? Well, before I go in and I disconnect, what I want to do is walk in. Let's clean up this fringe for her. And then she says to me, she says, Sam, I want a more fringe that has more impact. Okay. So no problem. Let's create it. Let's cut a fringe that has more impact. I'm standing here in the front on the side of her, and I'm combing back and away from me. Or I could stand here on her left side, comb back to me and cut palm to palm, or cut over my hand. There's so many ways that we can go in and we can cut, guys. I want you to do what's most comfortable for you. All right. So now here's the exercise that I tried to give you there. Let's look at this view here, Andrew. Okay. I'm gonna have to get a little stage back here to put this flip chart on so that I can get it higher for you guys. All right, so here's what I did. Here's the shape of the head. So that's the shape of the head. Okay. So what we decided is we're gonna leave all of this hair here one length. So because that's where this head changes directions, we then took this hair here, okay, that was one length, and now we're taking the hair here, and we're going to elevate to the shape of the head. So now watch. That's the shape of the head. So now I take this point, this here, that section, stay with me, guys. This becomes my guide. Go there. And there, now I'm going to cut this angle. So now when this releases, this is going to fall round. That falls round. Then this falls one length. Okay. And that's the idea behind it, guys, in terms of that. Really, really important. Okay, Jennifer, disconnected haircuts give me a stomach ache. Jennifer, until now. I want you to remember something, Jennifer. It's not about you. It's about the person sitting in your chair. And I'm going to give you an answer to that. So let's hold on to that one. I want to help Jennifer out to really help her understand disconnection. But first, I'm going to cut a fringe on this guy. Okay, now watch this. I want you to pay close attention here on how I'm going to cut this fringe. I'm going to move to a shorter shear. So I'm not going to move to a 7-inch. And the reason being is I'm going to use my shear to cut the shape to the shape of the head, the shape of the forehead. I'm not going to take a long shear, take a section, a triangle section, and just cut straight lines. I'm going to position my comb to tell me where to turn. So watch. I'm going to give her a nice strong fringe now. Fringes, awaken a shape. Write that phrase down or type it, whatever you're doing to take notes. A fringe awakens your shape. So let's awaken your shape. Jennifer, I'm going to use you. Okay, Jennifer? So let's awaken your shape. And she's like, well, what do you mean? The shape's going to, just by simply cutting a fringe, you said you want something new, but you don't want to change. I've given you suggestions, but so let's cut a fringe. Let's just make it strong. That's going to give the whole new look for you. This is what I mean. It's going to awaken your shape. Did you get that, guys? Communication. Okay, how you communicate things. All right, so here we go. You're going to go with a middle part. Okay, now once we have a middle part, then what I want to do is I've got this right side here. Now, if I place my comb here, let's see if I can do this. Okay, here. Never fear, Sammy's here. Watch. Okay, going to turn her here. Look, if I place my comb, oh, I got a better idea. Excuse me, Andrew. I got a better idea, guys. Sometimes, guys, when you teach, you just got to pull it out. You know what I mean? All right, look at. See that? See where my comb is flat? I'm going to cut that angle. Then I'm going to move where my comb lifted off. Where my comb lifted off, I'm going to move it, and I'm going to cut there. Then I'm going to cut there. Then I'm going to cut there. That makes sense? You see that? So what I'm trying to do is tell you, don't cut a straight line across. Can you see if you cut a straight line across, look how short that center is, and look how you've over-directed out here. Okay. Next time I'm going to create this prop and glue the comb to you, my dear. Okay. Let me get her straight. I'm trying, guys. All right. That's about as good as I can get her. How am I doing, Amanda? All right, good. So now look, see if you pull this hair to here, you over-directed it. What you want to do is cut the hair that lives here. You want to cut it in its natural fall. Natural fall. You don't want to be lifting it and moving here. Then what happens when you do that, you got long hair. Now you're turning your hand to take it off. All right, so now watch this. Watch how simple. If I understand that, hold your head straight up. Make sure your head is straight up. If I understand that, cutting these nice square rounded fringes makes it simple. So right side, see I blouse that up? So I'm going to deal with just this little plane right here. Look at my comb. Comes off at that point, off at that point. So now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to pinch the section, lift it, place my fine teeth of the comb in, bring it down, and turn my comb. That's where it lives. Now I'm going to come through, just tap it, and I'm going to keep this nice and short, guys, because I want you to see the impact here. Okay? Now look how that just sits. You see how that sits to the shape of her head? Look at that. Okay? Now watch me go to the center. Now I go to the center. See, what I'm trying to share with you here is if I divide this into short little increments, I'm going to get a lot more better, precise line. If I go and divide wide, my hand, my shears, my mind is thinking too wide. I guarantee you're going to cut that section 2 or 3 times to visually get it right. Is this making sense, guys? Type the letter S in there. Okay. Now watch what I'm going to do. Now all I'm going to do is lift. You can lift your shear now once I have a guide. Fine teeth of comb go in. I go in and I push down. And I cut just to that plane. Don't be cutting all the way across. So that's where I like to take it. Because sometimes when I would do it that way, I get too aggressive. I like to take it. I pinch it now. I lift it, place it in my comb. Okay. And now I tap down. And now I just turn the comb. And this is going to give me a much more precise line as I'm working. That's what I'm working for. Does that make sense, guys? You see how simple this can be. I think at times we try to create things too much visually. And when we create them visually, that's when all the mistakes happen. Okay. So now watch how you could watch. I could take this whole thing and do here and do that, but I guarantee you this is going to be long over here. Does that make sense? You see? So narrow down the width of your section when you're cutting to the shape of the head. If you have a wide section, I guarantee you're going to change it. You're going to change the shape of the head. Okay, here, making sure I've got that guide. That's where I belong. And then just look how I just bring the shear flush to the comb and I just cut. Okay. And I'm not going to stand in front of you here and claim to be perfect, but look how close I'm getting that. Okay, I got a little bit of an edge right there. Look how I'll use my mirror in the salon. I look in the mirror, I see where the mistake's at. I put my hand on the mistake, then I come back to it. If I go here and I look without putting my hand back to it, then I'm all over the place looking at it. Now my vision is expanded. So I want to narrow my vision, go right to the point of correction that I want to correct, and I see it, go right after it, and there it is, right there. And I get that little corner. Okay, now watch. Now I come to the next one. Here. This is my last one here. Now watch what I'm going to do. I lift it. Okay, I place the fine teeth. I like using the fine teeth. It gives me that proper tension. Look how I picked up some of our guide. And now just lay it in and tap it in. And now let the comb sit flat to the head. Don't worry about, well, Sam, the line is turned. Yeah, that it's turned. It's because the head turned. So the position of my hand and the position of my comb, they have to turn. Does that make sense, guys? Because if I just continue to cut this straight line out here, that corner is going to be too long. Okay. Did you learn something there, guys, in regards to cutting this to the shape of the head? Real simple. It eliminates the guessing game, Andrew. Cool?
Yes, sir. What about cowlicks? How do you work with cowlicks in that fringe area?
Great question. All right. Let's talk about that. First of all, if a client says to me, Sam, I want a fringe. Fringe to me are bangs, guys. Okay. So I want a fringe. My first question to the client, the first question we suggest you ask is, are you up for the maintenance? Okay. Whenever you see a cowlick, you ask them, are you up for the maintenance? They're going to say, well, what do you mean? Well, you're going to have to spritz this down with a Sanvia water bottle. By the way, you can water your plants with it. And by the way, great for olive oil. Spritz it down. Now I'm going to teach you how to blow dry this with the fine teeth of the comb. By using the fine teeth of the comb, it's going to alter the growth pattern and the cowlick that you have here, because the fine teeth will compress it and the spine of the comb will lay down the scalp. If I go in and I use my favorite brush, like maybe a paddle brush, what we've discovered is that the paddle brush is too high off the scalp. Okay, you can see it. Let me just put it. See how? So it really can't affect the base. You're going to have to work twice as hard. So now asking my client, are you up for the maintenance? Because you need to spritz this every morning. And you're going to take your blow dryer and do this. And she's like, every morning? If you don't do it every morning, it's going to jump up on you. So if you commit to the maintenance, we'll do it. If you don't, I would suggest professionally not to do it. Does that make sense? Did that help you out, whoever asked that question in regards to that? So remember what I said, communication is what builds your wealth. Now look how I layered this bob out. I gave it some fringe. That was a dusting. That was half the price. You saw how long it took me to layer it. Boom, 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 done. 1, 2, 3, 4, done. And that's half the price, half the time. And it's an added express service. Okay. Added services, you've been doing it for a long time. I'm talking about an added express service. What's done on your software? What's done on that software? Make sure you tell Reach that, Andrew. All right, here we go. Let's see. Now I want to go to disconnection. And Jennifer, I'm going to come back to you. Okay. Disconnection, I think, can really, really work awesome. Yeah, I agree, Rachel. It's all about the consultation. Roller girl. Do you roller skate? I love you. Great to see you on here, my dear. All right. Ashley Brown. What's up, Ashley Brown? Yeah. Ashley Brown Johnson. All right. Here we go. What am I going to do now? Oh, disconnection. Okay. So here we go. Let's go down the name. Now watch how I'm going to disconnect this, but watch how I'm going to get my graduation. So Jennifer, why would you want to disconnect somebody? This is a client. She's got this one length bob. Okay. One length bob. By the way, I cut this in about, I'm not bragging, but I cut this in about 8 minutes. It was all one length. It was all long. Cut it in 8 minutes. And it looks pretty good, I think, in 8 minutes. But how did I get it like this? Because I understand the shape of the head. Understanding the shape of the head will do it. Okay. Now, and I don't suggest you cut it in 8 minutes. That's not what I'm saying, guys. Okay. All right. Disconnection. Jennifer, I wouldn't. Jennifer, you're a tough one, huh? You wouldn't disconnect. Is that what you're saying? Okay, well, if the client says to me, there's a client, she's got one length. She says, Sam, it's taking me twice as long to dry my hair. I love my one length bob. It's taking me twice as long to dry it. I can't, my shoulders are not like they used to be, and I can't get to all that hair. So this is where I would suggest to her, let's not undercut it. I'm not talking undercut. Okay, I'm talking about let's create a soft disconnection underneath the nape area. In other words, Jennifer, let's get rid of hair that you don't need. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Let's get rid of hair you don't need. So watch this. Okay, so now watch how I'm just going to take my section, horizontal, a vertical section, and then watch how I'm always looking for the shape of the head. So see, I find the shape of the head. That's where it's at. Good. I'm going to take that to there. Good. All right. Now I'm going to come through and I'm going to take that up. Okay. So what are you dividing off, Sam? The nape area. Just about the nape area is where I'm at. And this time I'm taking it a little bit more flatter. I'm not going as diagonal as I did on that last bob. Okay, I'm taking this just a little bit more flatter. Okay. Now, when you dry cut, can you see this was pretty bone straight when you dry cut? So what I'm going to recommend when you're dry cutting, put some bevel into this. Okay. So you really want to put some bevel into it. And I think bevel is important in regards to what you do, how you do it, etc. So I'm going to grab this brush here. This is awesome, guys. This is our 3-in-1 Hot Tool Pro Results 3-in-1 Hot Tool brush. Now it should be plugged in. Yes, you are.
Usually plugging in electrical appliances helps, Sam.
Hey, be nice. Well, not today, but oh, there we go. All right. So this guy here, guys, is incredible. I want to get where you can see it. Okay. I mean, this thing here has just been selling like hotcakes. It's pretty incredible the way that it works and what it does. And I happen to be loving it because it wasn't one of my favorite ideas or things, but the team said, this is for the pros to let their consumers use it. But I got to tell you, I've been loving this in regards to what it is. It's a Pro Results 3-in-1 blow dry hot brush, guys. So when you think about it, it's really good, from damp to straight. You could work with it from damp to straight. It's got a hair dryer, a thermal brush setting, and it also has a low flow air dryer brush setting, which I think is pretty cool. So you can use it in so many ways. What I like to use it for, I've discovered is, just the idea of, watch how I'll turn it on. See, that's the blow dryer. You can hear it. Okay. The infrared lights, you see those lights, the infrared, that's like for just smoothing, straightening. Now I want to get a little bit more. Now watch what I'm going to do. All I'm going to do is just put that on, take my hand. Now this would be great for a client. Okay. And you can just see the bevel that I got out of that. Okay. And see how I just used my hand. And that's all I'm trying to do. I just want to just bevel this. Okay, so now let's talk about disconnection again while I'm doing this. Disconnection is something that I would recommend if a client has a lot of weight issues in regards to too much weight in their hair. They want to save some blow drying time. As I set up, maybe they have shoulder issues and they can't get to the back. So it's about, when you think about disconnecting, I don't want you to think of disconnection being so raw, Jennifer. Disconnection, what we've discovered is it solves issues, okay? I grew up a blender. I grew up a precise hair cutter. But what I discovered is it's not about me and how precise my hair cuts. That's why, Jennifer, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you point cut? If you point cut, then you texturize hair. Disconnecting hair is part of the process of texturizing hair, especially now with what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I think it's important to understand that disconnection has now become a classical tool in regards to cutting, because you're really moving hair that's unwanted or not necessary. Okay. Now, another way to do this is you could go in and work with your flat iron. But see, that brush that I just used took all of these tools out of my hand. So I like to consider that 3-in-1 hot tool brush, that Pro Results 3-in-1 blow dry hot brush. I like to consider that as a hybrid tool where you're combining all of these products together. So Sam, what are you doing? Well, I'm prepping this, guys. When you dry cut, prep is so important. And the reason being is because if you don't prep this the right way, when you go to cut it, you're going to see it spit at you. It's just going to kind of stick out at you. Now, there are times, Sam, when you don't do this. Yeah. When I'm working with natural texture of hair, natural movement, curly hair, I wouldn't go through this process. Dry cutting is a visual exercise. I want everybody to understand that. It's a visual exercise, meaning that I can see the cutting edge almost immediately. All right, let's go back to scenario now. Okay. The scenario is, and I'm going to use a little bit of my One United. The scenario is she complained about the back. She can't get to that back anymore. It's too much hair for her to blow dry. She loves her one length bob. She wants to keep it. So I'm going to keep it. But what I'm going to do is release the weight that she doesn't need. So I'm going to take and work with a dry cutting 7-inch shear. And I'm looking to see where does that bend. Okay. And then I'm going to take it right about at that bend. Okay. And I'm going to cut to the round of the head. I'm going to elevate vertically and cut a horizontal line. Okay. Now, what I want you to watch is how I just graduated that. You can just start to see how that has a little bit of roundness to it. Now, even though I might have flat ironed it and used my hot tool brush, airbrush on it, but you can start to see I just get a little bit more weight out of it. Now, this is completely different than what I showed you cutting a graduated bob with a diagonal. Remember, we cut that one with a diagonal. So this is elevating vertically, and what I'm doing is cutting it short to long. So let me give you an example. So when I elevate that way, look at the graduation. See that? So you see how soft this is, Jennifer? It's not drastic. Okay, now watch. So what I've done is I've actually cut a line that does this. That now goes short to long. See that? So I've taken the weight of one length hair out of that back nape area. Why? Because this back area is where the majority of hair is. The hairline drops down as it grows or goes past the ear. So when that hairline drops down, so you're getting more mass of hair down here. So you have to understand, if the client is having issues with the amount of hair and the amount of weight they have, then I suggest you detach it. Now watch. No harm, no foul, Jennifer. Look at, see that? I got one length hair over that. And if I bevel that with my flat iron, you wouldn't know the difference. Only she and I would know that that is under layered, not undercut. Okay, I want to make that perfectly clear. Under layered. All right. Did that make sense, guys? So important to understand that. Maybe what I might want to do is they want more frothiness up here. They want a lot more frothiness up here. So what I might want to do is I might want to go in and just detach this top, but leave the length down below. Leave it one length. So really important we understand, guys, that when we're going through and working with these bobs and these shapes, it's not so much about us. It's about the client and the needs of the client. So watch again. Watch what I'm going to do. Let me give you an example over here. I'm going to stay away from the corner of that hairline. Okay. So then I'm going to come about right here. I'm going to bring this back to me, comb it back. Watch. I'm going to detach this right side, show you a way to do it. Now watch the comb. It's vertical. I go up and down. See the zigzag section I have? Okay. Now I'm going to cut this area, and this is going to fall soft over it. So here's the thing I'm trying to help you out with. Not everything needs to blend nowadays. Okay. Not everything needs to blend. That's so important that we understand that. Okay. So what would you cut that top with, Sam? I'm going to use a slide cutting shear. Okay. This slide cutting shear, so it guarantees I'm going to keep the softness in that. So now I'm going to simply over direct this back. So watch, give you a side profile. Look at this zigzag section. So I'm disconnecting her right top. Okay. So I'm bringing this back over. Now watch this, Jennifer. Remember, she likes her one length bob, but she wants some softness on that top now. Okay. And I love the slide, this Invisalign shear, because it gives me these invisible lines in it. Look at that. So if you layer blonde hair, this is the tool for you. This is the tool for you. And there's a great sale going on this week. I think Andrew will talk to you about it at the end. And look how I just keep maneuvering that one section. Now watch. Two things are happening. Number one, it's a zigzag section. Number two, I'm using a Invisalign shear that gives me these invisible lines inside. Now watch the difference when you release this. you should have a little bit more volume, a little bit more movement, a little bit more frothiness now on this side. Okay. So now watch this side. Look at, see the volume over here. See that? Watch how when I move this, see now she's got some movement going on to it. See that? But it looks one length. It looks one length. So guys, you know, things change. And you got a choice, Andrew, to change with it. So you can keep doing things the way you're doing them the same way. You're always going to get the same results. Or you can embrace change as we have embraced change in our lives the last year. So I really believe as a hairdresser, it's so important that we continue to learn, but embrace the things you learn, embrace them, grab them, practice, figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, hold on to what works. So there's danger in that comfort zone. Keep one foot out, as you've done today. Thank you for joining us and taking in the experience of maybe thinking, doing, and saying it a little bit differently. But now I challenge you to go back and do it behind the chair.
Absolutely. And, you know, to the point, Sammy, this is such a great opportunity for us all to change because, you know, our clientele has been disrupted over the last year. So coming back into full force, this is your opportunity to do something different. So like you said, if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, I think that's where burnout tends to happen too. So these are great tips. It's super approachable.
Well, good, buddy. I wanted to kind of like, you know, I think like I said in the beginning, the bob's a classical shape, but there's so many variations in so many ways. I think what we need to start thinking now when we go into these bobs about problems and solutions. You know, what problems are they having? Then have the solutions. And then the second message I wanted to send out there today, Andrew, was build those express services. It's important you build those express services. All right, guys.
Like
I'm going to leave you
said, to look for the services that aren't in your software, because that's again, change things up, do something different.
Make sure you tell Reach that.
Yes.
All right, buddy. Hey, listen, buddy, I love you, man. Thanks for being the host. I'll leave you guys with Andrew, and I'll see you again. I got to move to another one at 1 o'clock. Join me at Salon Centric Facebook Live. I'll be on their Facebook Live. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sammy.